The Baobab. Once upon a time, in the heart of the African savanna, there stood a very proud and tall tree. This tree was none other than the Baobab, known as the king of trees. The Baobab was so proud of its thick trunk, towering height, and enormous branches that it believed it was the most magnificent tree in the entire world. The animals of the savanna often gathered around the baobab. Some sought its shade during the hot days, while others admired its towering presence. But the baobab, instead of being grateful, would always boast, "Look at me! I am the most glorious tree. The sky kisses my leaves, and the earth cradles my root. No other tree can compare." The other trees in the savanna, like the acacias and the palms, were humble and never claimed to be better than others. They were content with providing food and shelter for the animals. But the baobab's constant bragging began to annoy them. One day, the wise old owl, who was respected by all the creatures of the savanna, decided to pay the baobab a visit. The owl perched on one of its branches and said, "Baobab, your height and strength are indeed impressive. But must you always boast about yourself?" The baobab scoffed, "Why shouldn't I? I am the king of trees, the greatest of them all." The owl, with its deep, thoughtful eyes, replied, "Pride can be a dangerous thing. A tree's true greatness lies not in its size but in how it serves others." But the baobab didn't listen. It continued to boast, growing prouder each day. One day, the baobab decided it wanted to reach the sky. It stretched and stretched, pushing its branches upward with all its might. But as it did, its roots began to pull out of the ground. The baobab lost its balance, and with a mighty crash, it fell upside down, its roots sticking up in the air and its branches buried in the ground. The baobab was humiliated. It could no longer stand tall and proud. Instead, it now looked like a tree with its roots in the sky and its branches in the earth. The other trees whispered among themselves, feeling sorry for the baobab, but also relieved that its boastful days were over. The wise old owl returned and perched on one of the exposed roots. "Baobab," it said gently, "perhaps now you understand. Pride comes before a fall. But even in this state, you can still be great. By offering shelter and shade to the animals, just as you always have." The baobab, humble and quiet, realized the truth in the owl's words. Though it could no longer stand tall, it could still serve the creatures of the savanna. From that day on, the baobab stopped boasting and instead focused on being kind and helpful. And so the baobab became a symbol of humility and service, a tree that taught the savanna the importance of kindness over pride. The animals and trees learned to appreciate the baobab even more in its new form. And the legend of the baobab tree was passed down from generation to generation as a tale of humility and the dangers of pride.